Hey Brian, welcome. How are you today?
What's up, Gloria? Doing solid. Just had the dinner with the fam. Nothing too crazy. How's Bali?
It's great. I love it. But it's a little bit too hot.
Oh, that's not good.
Yeah. So I appreciate you hopping on with us today. So for everyone watching this video, let us know, tell us about yourself and then what's your name? How long have you been doing UGC for? And just fill us in a little bit about yourself.
So I'm Brian Nin. I am 22. I just graduated college. I used to do UGC for a bit while I was in college, trying to make a side income. Got a decent amount, and then at some point I was like, shoot, I want to focus on the fitness coaching business, finish out school, and then I realized like I kind of want to do UGC again. So now I'm back in the UGC.
Let's go. So you're in college. You just graduated college, it sounds like. And you said you're 22?
Yeah, I'm 22.
Wow. I thought you were closer to my age.
Oh shoot,
But yeah, awesome.
you're how old again?
I'm 19.
Oh shoot, that's crazy.
You don't look like you're 22. You look like you're 20.
I appreciate it.
But how did you Okay, so you have a background in UGC. You did UGC in college, is that right?
Yeah,
And then now you're hopping back into UGC after college, it sounds like.
yeah.
So I guess how did you first discover UGC?
So I was honestly just like scrolling, right? And then I saw honestly probably one of your competitors, Creative Linda, and she made UGC very enticing. And then I was like, oh whoa. I actually invested into her course and I was like, it was pretty solid, but then I couldn't get farther than where I got to. And I kind of burnt out from there. And honestly, it kind of left a bitter taste in my mouth with UGC. But then I saw Gloria, her whole system, her whole team. I was like, shoot, her team is crushing it. And like it looked a lot more fun. And I was like, dang, maybe I'll try it again. And then here we are.
Boom, there we go. And are you doing UGC full time or part time, or how has that been?
So it was part time. Right now, I'm actually doing a 30-day challenge and we'll try to make it at least part time, maybe full time again. We'll see.
Okay. And then what are you currently, as you said, as part time? Are you doing any other work? Are you working a job or anything like that right now?
Yeah, so I'm also a personal trainer. So I'm a fitness coach online, and then I'm trying to scale that. I have a personal brand of like 23,000 on Instagram, and I'm trying to scale that as well as try to build like an app on my own, but also have like software engineers like build it for me. And yeah, that's basically where I'm at.
And then I'm curious, about your journey because it's been pretty dramatic with okay, doing UGC and then restarting UGC in a 30-day challenge and everything like that. I'm curious about your journey because of how much you've kind of achieved in this space. So can you kind of walk me through how it kind of all started?
So when I was first starting out, took in the course, and I honestly got to a point where I got to like 4 or 5K, and then it was just monotonous for me. I didn't really enjoy it as much anymore. The deals were paying a little bit, but it wasn't enough for me to be like, dang, I really want to do this and juggle school, juggle my other business. And then I was like, probably not worth doing anymore. And then also another thing was my portfolio actually vanished on me, so I can't even pull it up. So I had to make a new portfolio. So I was like, oh yeah, I'm definitely not going to continue UGC. And then yeah, that's where I kind of left UGC, and then now we're here.
And then even from the very, very, very beginning, how did you even discover that UGC existed? Were you one of those creators that just scrolled on TikTok and was like, wow, okay, we can actually make money from, our bedroom with our iPhone? Or how did you kind of find it?
Yeah, so when I was looking, I was like, oh, whoa, you don't need a following? That's kind of crazy. And then that was a huge catch for me because that was when I was still building the fitness brand and it was a lot smaller. And I was like, dang, that's really enticing. So I definitely tried it out first while I was trying to build the fitness brand.
So what were your first attempts creating UGC?
So my first things with UGC, I think it started out with like making supplements. So boba tea protein. What else is there? I think Gorilla Mind. I had some, but for sure bubble tea protein. I made like skits that people made fun of me for, and I got into food. Those are definitely my main ones. And then I just add those to portfolio and then start out from there.
And did you like your first videos at all?
I cringed. I cringed for sure, 100%. But it was entertaining to make. But then at some point, I realized this is probably not what I want to be known for. So I want to get better at it. So I took a break from UGC.
And then with that being said, okay, you landed collabs. how did you first, like when you first started, how were you even landing them? Like what were you doing? Were you doing any pitching? Like how did you land them?
I was just DMing casually on Instagram. It wasn't like something I was super serious about back then because I was like juggling all that stuff. And it wasn't consistent enough for me to be like, oh, yes, I can definitely hit this amount of money per month and like, not ever get a job. But because I was doing all that stuff, I didn't really take it too seriously. So yeah, I was just like random casual DMs.
How long did you realize like this isn't as easy as everyone is putting it out to be online, on Instagram and everything like that?
First, a month or two for sure.
What made you realize that?
I was like, dang, it's kind of annoying. It's like playing the dating game. You gotta like try to slide in these DMs and be all slick, try to get them to respond. And it was really aggravating to see. But yeah, that was probably the main thing, getting left on scene and then also rejected oftentimes.
And what kind of kept you going through those tough months?
Knowing that there was some money on the other side. And then also like knowing that there were other people that didn't have as much of a social media presence as me doing better than me. I was like, I can't let them win. I gotta keep trying and like actually try to get some deals and land some money.
For sure. And that beginning part of UGC where it's tough to scale because you don't have, the resources to do so, that's a very tough time, right? So how long were you in that kind of like period where it's kind of tough to scale UGC?
It felt like it was hard to scale the whole time because I didn't know much about like systems or like delegation or anything like that to actually make it a business. It was more so like a side hustle that was honestly like another job, and it was an inconsistent job because I didn't know what I was doing.
And then how long were you struggling with this inconsistency for?
3+ months, yeah.
What finally made you realize like you need to change your approach?
When I kept getting rejected day in and day out, I was like, damn, this is actually really, really annoying. I'm like, you gotta be persistent and be like trying to get deals, but I felt like I was being insane, right? Like the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again, expecting a different result. And that's what I was doing. I was like, dang, I'm insane. So it led me to quit UGC for a bit until I found you guys.
That's actually beautiful. And I love that like quote of like insanity. And anyone listening to this right now, if you resonate with that quote, that's a sign. So what changed specifically for you and how did you find out about a different approach?
I actually learned through mentors that there's ways to make it into a true business, right? Like a lot of us don't realize that the biggest business owners in the world don't actually work as much as you think because they have so many people under them and so many systems, softwares to do a lot of the work for them. So every hour you live, they live millions or billions of hours a day and they get so much more output. So when we are always thinking, oh, how can I work harder? Why don't we think about working harder but smarter, right? And I think that's huge for us as like smaller creators. And obviously, some of us might be having jobs, being a student, being a parent, or whatever it is. So it's really key to be able to delegate and find ways to systematize this whole entire process.
Excuse me, there's something going on in the background. But how did you find out about me? Like, or do you call any specific piece of content that you read from mine where you thought like, okay, that makes sense and that's like a whole new perspective I should try out?
Yeah. So I remember seeing a piece of content from you. It was about the idea of if you are not making your content and yourself ROI driven as well as being systemized, you're never going to succeed as a UGC creator. And I was like, dang, that hits home because I was like, dang, I'm so energetic. I'm such a vibe on the camera. And I was like, oh, my editing's probably better than this mom from Chicago. But then I realized, dang, I need to be more ROI driven as well as, oh, shoot, I'm not systematized. I'm no structure. I'm just YOLOing, winging this. And yeah, I was just lost.
The strategy of luck. um, what was the first thing you learned that made you go like, oh, I've been doing this like all wrong? Like, is there any piece of that where you started implementing where you're like, okay, yeah, like now I got it?
Yeah. So I think one of the biggest things is being able to outreach at scale. You guys have definitely taught me something with like Lemlist and like cold email. And that stuff is game changer, right? Because like while some people are manually typing in the DM and like manually emailing, you're gonna get maybe like let's say if you're lightning speed 20 emails an hour, that's really slow. And to do that, it just drains your time. So why not do something that allows you to scale? This method allows us what, like 1,000 or like way more a day. So I'm like, why would I not do this? Invest some money, right? We can make more money, but we can never get back time. So I'd rather systematize and then do this.
And can you like, for those that are like brand new to these systems and brand new to this mindset, right? Can you explain that shift for people who might be like where you were in the past?
Yeah. So in the past, right, while I was juggling a whole ton of stuff, being a student, being an entrepreneur, trying to grow on social media, trying to do content, doing all these things, and trying to live a life, right? We need to be able to exactly trying to get fit. So it is super key to be able to have time, right? So if we're trying to build a business and make money, we're gonna have to spend some money, right? Money can always be made. And I don't ever want to waste my time. So if I can actually increase the amount of chances I get at business, why would I not do that? Why would I not take the opportunity? So I decided to invest some money into systems like Apollo, Lemlist, cold email systems like Smart Lead. And this allows me to do way more at scale each and every day. So I'm going to one up the other UGC creators that don't know about systematizing and they don't know much about business. So that is my biggest piece of advice. Save your time, invest some money, and systematize.
And that's bars. And we're going to get into like how that made an impact on your business in a minute. But I do want to take time and make sure that like you're recognized by the brand owners watching this. So like what would you say to brand owners who are watching this podcast right now? Like how would you describe your services, your specialty, your niche, and why brands should choose you, Brian?
Yeah. So I'm Brian. I already have an audience on social media. I understand the art of hooks. I understand the art of establishing the problem and establishing the solution and the CTAs. I understand how to generate an ROI for y'all. I understand how ads work. And I am very big in the health and supplement space, as well as a lot of softwares, apps, and of course, food, because who doesn't love food? And I am key on trying to make sure that we communicate on developing a brand message that articulates your products and your services to the best of your abilities to generate an ROI for you guys.
Beautiful. So good, bro. Like you know exactly to a T. Anyone watching this, Brian knows exactly to a T on what he does, who he helps, what impact he makes, right? So it's gonna be really, really easy for him to scale a business because he knows exactly what value he can bring into the marketplace, right? That's beautiful. I was giggling because it's so true, right? It's so good. What you have that right on your brain, you know, you have that on your brain. That's beautiful. So I guess like even like with the brands that you've worked with currently so far, what are some of the biggest brands that you've worked with, and how did those collabs go?
Yeah. So some of the biggest brands I work with are Stan Store. So it's like a link in bio. Very common within content creators. Another one's Kajabi. Another one that's big in content creators. I work with Boba Tea Protein, Legion Athletics. Yeah, Legion Athletics. I'm actually sponsored by. Another one is Root Labs. Yeah, those are the main big ones I've worked with.
Do you recall any of like the results that you've generated for any brands that you've, you know, worked
Yeah,
for?
I was able to generate a 3x ROAS for Stan Store, and I think Kajabi was, I think, around a 2x. Yeah, those are the main ones I remember.
And it's very obvious on like right now, like if I were a brand, like I run a creative agency, I know I would choose you, you know, I would choose you. So it's like it, and why I do that is because like you clearly separate yourself from other creators by like the results and how uh, clear you are in your offer and how confident you are, which shows up in your product and your videos. I've seen your videos; they're freaking amazing, right? So besides that, out of like 10,000 other UGC creators, why do you believe that brands should work with you personally? And what makes you kind of stand out?
I think, of course, I already have a personal brand that most people don't have. I'm also very energetic. A lot of people know that. I am very well diverse in many industries, as well as I'm someone that is very adaptable in the business space. I understand exactly what you need. And since I've worked with so many niches, I understand the different pain points and the different ways to speak to your audiences to really nurture and keep them in a like locked in format watching your video and really want to be sold on your product or service.
And I would love to dig a little bit deeper in that. Like, what makes what systems or what makes your content different like that? What makes it work?
So I think it's following a key strategic framework. So I think it's really important that people understand that no one's going to watch a video without a fantastic hook. I know everyone talks about that in the creator space, but the hook is the only thing that can actually decide if your video is going to work. So if your hook is trash, good luck. But lock in on the hook, be very good on the visual, text, and everything related to the first 3 seconds. Then from there, you establish the problem, right? So if it's a company like, let's say, Nike, and it's a company or like people are struggling with running, you need to establish a problem that people are struggling with running. And then you show a solution in a very creative way that makes people like, whoa, Nike's pretty cool about running solutions. And then after that, you end it off with a CTA, maybe a deal or whatever it is to really try to get the customer after them watching your video.
That's awesome. And I like that example of like using Nike. Anyone listening to this right now, understand that like your videos have to be like Brian's strategically put together, right? They have to the hook, the body, the call to action all has to be strategically put together. We can't just like Brian in his past, he said that, Laura, like I just made videos, right? And there's no framework behind them. We can't do that anymore because we need to make sure that they're following a proven framework that generates results for the brand. Otherwise, the brand's not going to come back because it didn't make a difference.
Yeah, exactly.
So, with that being said, like you're pitching, right? I imagine like that changed dramatically too. Excuse me. And your pitching, I imagine that changed dramatically too. So, walk me through like okay, before and after, like you're pitching before. I know you did a few DMs, but what your pitching looks like after now.
Yeah. Back then it was yo, want to collab? Literally, it's like super simple. Yeah, nothing too crazy, but it barely works, so I wouldn't recommend. But nowadays, it's more so like a lot more structured. I'd say for like most social media platforms, it's me being like yo or like hi. I'm a content creator in like US because if you establish yourself in the US, you're obviously like better sought after. And then I talk about like, is there any potential collaboration opportunities where I can help you guys generate an ROI through like, I don't know, collaboration or partnership or a UGC retention plan, something like that. That way they see, oh, this person means business. They want me to get an ROI and they're based in the US. They're not some like third world country kid trying to create content for me. So it's probably going to be quality. That's like how I pitch now. And I also sometimes include my portfolio as well.
And then remind me, what did you say about the volume? Like, how many pitches are you doing like a day now, or are you shooting for?
Now with my systems, I'm actually setting my cold email system and it's going to be firing like crazy.
And then how are you positioning yourself now? Like, I remember back then you were competing in very saturated niches. Are there any new niches that you're like diving into now that you're taking advantage of that aren't as essentially saturated, maybe?
Yeah, I'd say AI is still not too tapped into. That's definitely something I'm trying to tap into. I would say like the smaller things that probably no one thinks about, maybe like a finance firm or like a law firm. I think those would be pretty cool to do too.
Yeah. And those niches, like, they're super like untapped. So is there a reason like why you believe like you're going to really succeed in like the niches?
I'd say it's me just being honestly, I think being Asian would be a huge thing for this because like I know there's like the stereotypes, right? Asians are great for tech, lawyers, all this like grad school level stuff. So I'm like, hey, I kind of fit that look. And then also I actually have a huge interest in AI and I love finance. And then
And even for like male creators out there, like there are, it's kind of a blue ocean because like there's so many female creators. Like the ratio from like male to female is like 1 to like 15 or 1 to 30, right? It's like crazy. Like there's way more, if not more, there's way more female creators. So that's beautiful. So any male creator out here watching this video, what would you tell that male creator if they're kind of on the edge of like getting started with UGC and getting their systems up?
just start, dog. Like honestly, with all the business models out there, I think UGC is one of the best to start with because it's a lot simpler than a lot of other business models you can pick from. I think like drop shipping, Amazon FBA, those are all very capital intensive and not an ideal place to start. I think UGC is definitely a great way, and especially untapped, right? That's a huge opportunity. And I think we got to make a name for ourselves, men.
And then how, like for brand calls and negotiation, everything like that, how has it helped to negotiate with owners? I feel like most UGC creators can't even negotiate, or they're even scared of speaking directly with brands.
I would say being a dude definitely helps. I mean, if you already have a good amount of confidence in like sales or just being able to talk in general, establishing yourself as an authority on calls is definitely key, and not devaluing yourself is very important because I think a lot of people will definitely shy away just to close the deal. But as long as you understand your worth and your time and your value, I mean, I think it's not too crazy when you're negotiating with companies because it's a game of just like they're gonna try to lowball you, and you're just gonna have to negotiate up because you're not gonna get wasting your time for Trump change, right?
Yeah, and what was your experience going through like maybe the role plays in the community and learning proper negotiation strategies? Like, did they help your business, and did they book like your, or did they grow your confidence and help you feel more prepared on these calls?
100%. It's like getting reps in the gym, right? If you don't get reps in like sales calls, talking to girls, or whatever it is, you got to be able to build that confidence within yourself because if you are just raw dogging it, you're not going to truly understand how it works. What are the potential things that they might say? What are their mannerisms? Like all these small things that can add up to closing the deal. You being lazy to not take action toward practicing on sales calls and stuff, that would definitely cost you a lot more money in the longer term.
And what about the actual content creation? Like, how do you approach that differently? I know that you mentioned that you're less, I mean, back then you're kind of on a whim and now you're using strategic frameworks, but is there anything else around filming the content or putting things together that you do differently?
Yeah. So when I do my content, definitely try to batch edit. I think that's key. Another thing is like when you film, right? If you're doing iPhone, you definitely want to make sure you wipe the back camera, and you always use the back camera. Selfies sometimes, but that's rare. And then you want to make sure you have good lighting, right? We want to make sure our light is never behind us, only behind us. That just makes it look really bad. Make sure it's quality footage every time. And then, yeah, those are my main ones.
So, like, I know we talked a lot about systems in this call so far, but I want to learn more about like all of the systems you have in your business. So, with everything that you repeatedly like put in every day, um, including like your email systems, like what systems do you currently use in your business so far?
So right now I'm warming up my emails through Smartlead. I bought all the domains within Smartlead, and I am using Apollo to find these contacts. And then Lemlist is also a part of this process. I'm also using a VA. A VA is a virtual assistant. So virtual assistants are basically people just do whatever work you like them to do. And mine's actually from the Philippines. So I actually like finding third world country ones because these people have a weaker currency than us, and they are looking for jobs desperately, and I want to be able to help that and fulfill a role for them, right? So I offer them an opportunity and they take it. So I pay them probably like $3 to $5 an hour, and they're able to do any task we'd like. So if I'm doing outreach, let's say it's 20 outreaches on Instagram, they take like 10-20 minutes. Then they do the next social media account. Then they just rip it out, and then they do that on cyclical on each and every day. Now I have extra hours in the day to do other stuff for the business or for whatever I like in my life. And now I have an actual system, and they're also tracking this stuff in a sheet that I can actually look back and look at the data so we can refine our business process and keep growing the business. So those are my systems at the moment.
And how has like systems like changed your life like before and after?
A lot more structure. We get a lot more data in place, and we get a lot more time back because once you have systems in place, makes life a lot easier. Like once you get that portfolio done, it feels like you set up the entire system because I hate arts and crafts.
I guess like what systems are running in like the background while you sleep then for your business?
Okay. I would say I also have editors. So I have an agency of editors that help me to make content for myself. I think that's very key, right? Because editing sometimes we can delegate that if it's not something that is specific to our editing style. And then this would definitely save a lot of time because editing is very nitty gritty. I do have a VA managing like DMs for UGC as well as my fitness stuff. That's very key. And yeah, I think outreach as well. So I also have like cold email softwares and all that type of stuff, just like earlier with
Just running in the
Apollo,
background.
Smart Lead. Yep, always
Beautiful.
24/7, never sleeps,
Never
never
stop.
cries.
Never stop. Not on vacation, not at the doctor's
Exactly.
appointment. Never,
No
ever stop.
PTO.
So obviously you have insider information now that like most creators like don't really have. How does it feel to have access to a bunch of other coaches and professionals in the community who are actively hiring these UGC creators? For example, like Alexander or Will, the brand owners, or even Emily, the creative agency owner. Does that give you a fresh new perspective coming from like people who are hiring these creators actively?
100%. When you have people that are deep in the industry, they have all the knowledge, they have the experience, they're trying to help you, dude. That's key to success. If you have that and yep, that's a W. And you have all other creators trying to learn with you, you have an army. So if you ever find a community like the UGCA, kind of join them up.
What are some of your biggest takeaways like from learning from advanced brand owners and creative agency owners and other professionals in the space?
I think the biggest thing is honestly just shifting your mindset from I want to be a cool, sexy, pretty editing creator to an ROI driven strategic master.
Wow, the power in that.
Yeah.
So UGC on TikTok is portrayed as like this like make like 10K a month or in a month, right? It's like a boss babe or boss man kind of vibe and like receive a bunch of like your favorite makeup or favorite products or fitness products, right? But obviously like you're learning, you know, from real business owners. So how do you feel like your mindset has changed during this process?
I think social media oftentimes makes everything a lot simpler than it seems. And until you enter the trenches, you'll never understand that. And everyone shows the highlight reels on social media. So it's very key for you to get a real perspective on it by getting in there and getting involved. So once you actually learn that and you actually go through it, you'll realize all that stuff's fake. And then once you find a community like UGCA that teaches you the real things that all these business owners and brands want, changes the game.
And then you went from thinking like a UGC creator to a strategist. How has that impacted you?
It's huge because strategy is king in everything, right? You need a plan of attack or else you're just spraying and praying. And that's, yeah, spraying and praying. Can't do that. You got to be able to be a sniper, right? If you can snipe it out, you're going to get all the deals, you're going to get all the kills.
Do you have background playing Call of Duty at all?
I did, and Fortnite.
Makes sense. So, yeah, for sure. So, how did it feel like, even in the program or over the past like few months? Like, how did it feel to land your like biggest like milestone, which could be like your biggest paid brand deal?
Feels good. It honestly really does because once everything shifted for me to being more systematized and automated, it just feels like, dang, I feel lazier, but I'm making more money because I'm just so much smarter now. And I'm just playing the game way more intelligently. Yeah.
And then, what niche was that deal in, and like how much do you get paid from that deal?
It was AI, and I think it was around 2K. Yeah.
Really, 2K. Wow. How did that make you feel?
It's like, dang, this is actually like game changing. I'm like, what the heck? I never thought I could get that type of deal.
And how has like UGC changed your life with all of this income and all of this like abundance coming in? Like, how has UGC completely changed your life?
It's given me a sense of like the creator lifestyle and like this freedom, right? Like not having to get a 9 to 5 post grad and just being able to live on my own terms. And all I gotta really do is just film videos and teach some people how to do some stuff for me. It's like, dang, this is really chill. It's chill.
It's a chill life. And how does it feel like to make money online with UGC? Because I feel like there's a big gap for people transitioning into online business and you're able to be profitable with this. So, how does it feel to understand that you're where most people want to be with their life?
It's really gratifying, right? Because I think a lot of people end up in that paralysis analysis space. And I think until you actually achieve this freedom, it's like you feel so skeptical. You're like, everything's a scam. You're like, dang, I'm never going to succeed. But if you just stay in the trenches and be strategic and keep learning and keep finding a way to make it happen consistently day in and day out, you'll eventually hit it. And it is a great feeling because it's freedom now.
And what's different about your day-to-day life now compared to like when you were struggling?
I am a lot more at peace. I think a lot of people don't understand that stress and juggling all these things in your head, like finances and I don't know, just like life in general. Once you have a system, time unlocks, and once you have income in place, a lot of financial stress comes off. And it's just like, dang, life is more peaceful, and you just do stuff on your own terms. And it's just, this is nice. So nice.
And what's next for you, Brian? Like, where do you see this going for you? Like, where do you want to take it?
I definitely want to be using this income to help my other business. I definitely still have a passion for fitness and stuff and transforming people's lives and like maybe doing some life coaching too. But I definitely still want to be in the UGC space. I just love working with brands and also just love being connects with some big companies, right? You never know what could happen down the line besides UGC. So definitely love that.
And there's like, I know you mentioned earlier, like you're working with a lot of AI companies, right? As a UGC creator. And on the flip side, the industry is evolving and there's like new AI, companies and like AI things coming out around specifically UGC, creating UGC with AI, right? And I know a lot of creators have different perspectives on that, but how do you see the UGC industry evolving, moving forward with this stuff?
I've actually looked into that. I'm like, dang, it's kind of scary, but at the same time, it's like, what if you learn how to use it in your content or you make an agency out of it and you just start using that for other brands and you combine that with normal UGC? There's a lot of possibilities with it. Obviously, a lot of people would be skeptical or scared of it, but you got to be able to embrace it. And honestly, I think it's just part of the future. So gotta adapt.
And then also like the thing about AI is that like there's always going to be companies that don't like AI UGC. I've worked with companies recently, right? They're like, "Hey, I've tried AI UGC. It don't work for me. I don't like it. It's not good enough." you know? So there's always that market out there as well. So I'm really curious, what would you tell that viewer right now, Brian, that's watching this video, but they're exactly where you were 18 months ago? What would you tell them?
Look, if you want to keep struggling and you want to keep your ego high, then just do you. But if you genuinely want to change, genuinely change your life, be at ease, have no more stress, have freedom, do whatever you want, not have to abide by a boss, and you also get free stuff and you get to talk to some cool people, then you should try to go all in on your business as well as get coaching and mentorship with UGCA because they have all the systems, they have all the networks, they have all the calls set up in place. They have like, I don't even know, like 5 to 7 calls a week. That's crazy. And this is literal crazy accountability and support that a lot of communities and courses don't give you. So if you're truly trying to lock in, do UGC and join UGCA. It'll change your life.
Thank you so much. Would you like recommend this, or I guess like what was your biggest like doubt before making the commitment into yourself, and what would you say to others who might be dealing with the same struggle around mentorship?
I think my biggest doubt is probably just like, is it really going to work? And am I getting scammed? I think those are two biggest things that a lot of people struggle with. Um, I've been someone that's been scammed before, but honestly, once you see the team and the systems in place here, it's like, it doesn't make sense for you to possibly get scammed here. Like, there's so much upside in this community. It's like, you can't fail as long as you don't like go to the hospital or like die. You just got to be able to lock in here. And then if it works for you, right? I think it's super key that you realize that everyone has doubts in their mind, but as long as you put in all the inputs that are required, it's almost inevitable. You just got to change up the strategy and play on a longer time horizon, and you'll find a way to succeed.
Wow. So it's kind of like it's up to you before you point the finger at someone else, right? The coach or the guru, you got to point in the mirror first, right? Because you got to take accountability for your life. There's always going to be that little fear in the back of your brain of making, a commitment, but it sounds like it really paid off for you.
Yes, it did. I appreciate all the help, Gloria.
So with that being said, like where can everyone find you, Brian? Like your social media, plug your socials. Everyone that's watching this right now, go connect with Brian.
Appreciate it. It's at bnin13, and then I'm also at Mr. Diversify. If you just type my name Brian in the chat and Instagram, you'll find me. I have 2 accounts.
Awesome. Well, yeah, thanks so much, Brian, for hopping on with us. It was nice to learn more about like your journey with us and see how much you've transformed over this period. And yeah, thank you so much.